Hi, Brittany. How are you?
Hi, Belinda. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thanks for being on the Perfect Child podcast. I'm going to start with your bio. I'm with Brittani Johnson of Forge Acton, which is an Acton Academy here in Newberg.
Yes, Newberg,
Yeah.
Oregon.
Okay. Forge Acton is a part of Acton Academy, a global network of learner-driven schools where every child is a genius. Every Acton school is built by dedicated parent entrepreneurs who believe an education built on trust can change the world. During COVID times, Brittany and Matt Johnson had their kids home from conventional school and tried distance learning for about 4 to 6 weeks and found that that was not working. So they decided to forge their own path and then found that they got their kids back for good. Brittany will go into that later. Through a series of experimentation in homeschooling, road schooling, unschooling, they were dreaming about what would be the perfect system and came across Acton Academies and found that it checked all the boxes and had been proven to be a successful model of learning. Brittany, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I think you did a great job. Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you. All right. Given that Acton Academies are all formed by parents and the philosophy is one built on trust,
hmm
trust in each child's unique genius. Can you please give us an overview of what the day looks like and what are the pillars that make up the day?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. Uh, Acton academies look very different from a traditional classroom or school system. And that is because the learners are in charge. It is completely learner led, learner driven. We start the day with a Socratic discussion. There is an adult in the room, but our job is literally to become as small as possible, to step back and allow the learners ownership and autonomy. So we start the day with a launch. Guides do not answer questions. I'm a guide. And our biggest job is to not answer questions. So that means everything from, oh, can I go to the bathroom? What do you think? Do you need to go? Does your body tell you that? How do I do this math problem? Like, oh man, what are your tools you need to solve that problem for yourself? So we are cheerleaders, game makers, um, growth mindset encouragers. So we start the day. Okay, so there we go. That's my role and our guide role in each studio. And so the guide role is we are there to equip, inspire, and our first part of the day is a Socratic discussion with the whole studio. So, again, Socratic discussion, we're not offering the right answer. The learners get to choose, they have a discussion, they have to offer evidence to why they think a certain way. And then they'll debate with each other. They learn how to respectfully disagree and to say why they disagree, not just, I don't think that's right. It's, well, I think because of this reason. So they're learning critical thinking skills in a hands on way. And that's what all of this is, right? It is
I
hands
love
on
it.
and it's meaningful. So I am actually the guide of the younger group. So they're about 5 to 7 year olds. So, maybe a Socratic discussion in the morning might be something along the lines of, what do you think makes a good friend? Is it more important that you are kind or that you're honest? And that's something we think about as adults, honestly.
Always. Yeah.
And so these 5 and 6 year olds, they're taking turns talking to one another. They say, well, I think it matters most that you're kind because then you have friends. And somebody says, well, it's important that you're honest because I want to be able to trust my friends. So they're pulling out all these really important, life questions and they're talking about it. So that's in my group. And of course, there's higher level and beyond that they're talking about every day, from what's the role of AI in their studio, to what do you do if you're playing a soccer team and they're just really physical and you have not been playing like that? Do you become physical back? Do you continue playing in the same way you always have, or something else? These are things that get them fired up and talking about real world problems. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, does the question come from the guides?
Often, yes.
Okay.
Um, but again, there's no right answer. Or it's something we've noticed around the studio that has been either a talking point or is maybe a problem we're trying to highlight so that they solve it on their own. Oh, we're noticing maybe a little bit of, I don't know, gossip chatter over, with a few people. We might bring that up. And it's not in a pointing fingers way. It's a revealing a problem so they
Hmm.
can find a solution to that. Um, so that's the start of the day is a Socratic discussion.
Okay.
And there are ground rules for that, and they hold each other accountable. This is not me calling on people. This is not, they take over. So when I say sometimes the guides come up with these questions, they
Hmm.
are encouraged to guide their own Socratic discussions as well. So often
Mm.
throughout the year, they will say, "Oh, I really want to lead the next discussion because I have something on my mind," or I just watched this crazy thing, this YouTube video, but what do you guys think? And it's again not for entertainment, but it brought up some interesting thoughts and feelings, and what makes a good Socratic discussion is almost a binary or triune choice, and it's a hard choice.
Yeah.
And it's like nothing's perfect,
Hmm.
but why are you going to stand more with this choice than something else? And this is a skill we all need. So they're starting the morning with critical thinking. It only takes about 15-20 minutes at the most. Then they move into a really important part of their day, which is goal setting. So they'll take a few minutes for themselves and they will say, now in the younger group, it might be just one small goal they're going to work on for core skills. Core skills is the next part of the day where it's reading, writing, math. It's those traditional academic things, but it's still, the power is still punted back to them. So they're saying today, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that next step in math that I need to get to today, or I'm gonna finish that book and then I'm gonna share it with a friend, or with the youngers. I'm gonna get to the next level in my reading box. So they set their goals. Now the older ones are setting bigger goals, maybe a weekly goal or a bi-weekly goal. The youngers, it's a 10-minute goal. And we call those frog goals. Those are
Okay.
little pieces of the frog you need to take a bite of to get your
Yeah.
day going. And then by the end of the year, even those youngers, they're making weekly goals that they're holding themselves accountable to, cheering each other on. The olders are making session goals, which is 4 to 6 weeks, holding themselves
Great.
accountable. It's amazing.
And when you're saying session goals, 4 to 6 weeks, what's the
Mhm.
age range? Like 10 to
Um,
12?
yes. So we have three main age groups. These are multi-age studios. So we have a group of 5 to 7.5-year-olds. Some people would call that kindergarten through second grade. Um, our next group is 8 to 11, 12-year-olds.
Hmm.
Some people would call that third through about sixth. And then we have our middle school, which we call navigators, and that is about 12 to 14.
Okay.
And so again, the older you get, obviously, the longer term your thinking becomes.
Hmm.
So it's easier to set the goal, just as hard to keep yourself accountable,
Of
let's be
course.
honest.
Of course.
So, and sessions our whole year, we do 5 days a week, more of a traditional school rhythm. However, instead of a semester or trimester or arbitrary, here's when parent teacher conferences are, so we stop here. That's not how it works. It's these 4 to 6 week learning arcs centered around a big question or a big theme. And then we take a little mini break to regroup, get our energy back, spend some time with family. So that might be a long weekend, that might be a whole week off. And then we come back excited and refreshed to tackle the next 4 to 6 week session with a renewed mind. So we're big on reflection and intention and goal setting and celebration. At the end of each of these
Yes.
sessions is a celebration. Parents come in and the learners themselves create what they call an exhibition of learning. So they showcase the character traits they've focused on, the work they've accomplished, the growth they've made, right? Even if they
Yes.
haven't,
Yes.
achieved the big goal, they can say, you know what, I didn't get it this time, but I learned X, Y, and Z. So next time I'm going to make this change and I'm going to slay the monster. So,
I love that because self-reflection is so important. And so this is ingrained in their learning environment, which is beautiful.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so the day, we digress off the
I
day.
know.
So they start
There's
with
a lot.
Socratic
Excuse me.
discussion, then it's goal setting, and then,
Yes, goal setting. Then they dive into their work session, and that's
okay.
about 2 hours.
Mhm.
And that is self-selected. It's at their own pace. There's certain times that they have chosen that are solo or quiet time, and
Mhm.
then there's collaborative time, working with a friend, and that might be on a project together, or it might be like, hey, could you come help me look at this math with me? I'm not sure I'm getting something quite right here. And so that's the 2.5 hour work session. And then they come into lunch and free time. The other thing during that work session is it's reading, writing, math, typing skills, spelling. It's all the kind of traditional things. But if they're just grooving on math, right? Like that happens with us. You
Yes,
get into a
of
flow
course.
state
Yeah,
and it feels so good. And 2 hours fly by and it felt like 15 minutes.
yeah.
We talk about flow state. So they can recognize it and they can even, they're learning how to get themselves into it. So instead of a traditional school that's, delineated by 20-minute bells and a
Right.
kerfuffle and move on to the next classroom or go into your next group or something like that, they get to stay with what they're interested in. And so we have had learners that will do math for the whole time, which is crazy, or, some other thing that they're working on, and they get to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's at their own pace. And then we move into lunch and free time. This is a whole hour. And this is, their opportunity to play board games, connect with their friends, get outside. And during that work time, they're still able to stand up, sit down, move around, go get a snack, go to the bathroom. That's on them.
Yeah, I was going to ask like the work time.
Mhm.
What if somebody just wants to sort of like they start on something, but then they kind of maybe reach a block or something and they want to go and walk around or they want to go throw a ball against the wall or do
Yeah,
something else.
yeah,
That's
yep,
perfectly fine.
absolutely. We encourage
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and the learners will um they hold each other accountable. So they also make their own community and government and promises. So this is something that happens every Friday in town hall. So one of their big promises is, I will not distract myself or others. And they hold each other accountable to that. So again, it's not me saying, go sit down, go do your work.
Yeah.
It is their friends saying, hey, you've just paced past me 3 times. Are you working on something challenging or, what's going on here? So they bring it up to one another like, hey, you're kind of being a distraction. Do you think you could either go find something else to do or go throw a ball against a wall? What do you need to do for yourself right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really corrects it helps again that person who's been kind of fidgeting or pacing or whatever. It brings attention to that. They can reflect on that and say, oh yeah, you're right, I need a snack, I'm going to go do that, and then I'll come back refreshed. I'll set my 20-minute timer one more time after that
Yeah.
because I need a break.
Yeah.
So that's really empowering. We talk about the three monsters, and that is the monster of victimhood, resistance, and distraction. And all year long, yeah, and this is vocabulary the 5-year-olds have. They will, um, you know, what is it in, therapy? It's like identify it, name it to claim
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right?
Name it to claim
And
it.
there is power in that. So they can reflect and say, what's going on right now? Like, why do I feel, oh, it's the monster of distraction. Okay. So my antidote for that is,
Yeah.
do I need to change my environment? Do I need to change something about myself? And we try to always bring it back to what can you do? What can you do? You can't control everybody
So
around you.
good.
Yeah. What can you do for yourself right now? What do you need? And they have the power to change it as they need to. And that might be in that moment, they put on headphones. It might be they go, outside and run around and then they come back. Or it might be, they might say, well, my actual problem is it's distracting, but everybody is being so loud. So that might be something I can put on the town hall notes on the agenda and say, here's my idea. Here's my problem. What's my idea for a solution? Let's collaborate to solve the problem. So, their idea might be, oh, it's always loud at this time and I'm trying to do my math. So their solution might be, how about we have a 30-minute, everybody's quiet for the same amount of time during our works time. Then they'll, debate it and then they'll vote on it and they'll bring it into action. So, yeah.
I mean, wait, why can we all go to school?
Yeah. It's the school I wish I had gone to.
Gosh,
It
it's
is.
really
Yeah.
it's allowing freedom and encouraging self-agency, which is all of this is so missing, lacking in the world today. Self-agency, the ability to express oneself in a way that is not blaming,
Mhm.
shaming,
Mhm.
or victimhood.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. These are learned characteristics that
Yeah.
we learn in the conventional school system that's so competitive and literally takes us away from ourselves. And this educational environment that you have going, it I feel like it really raises strong critical thinkers that aren't interested in belittling anybody else because they
Mm.
recognize their place in this world.
Mhm. Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. The ownership, the responsibility. So it's freedom within limits, freedom with responsibility. And, so many people want the freedom. They do. They crave the freedom. Don't tell me what to do. I can, I'm my own person. I'm my own body. Yeah, you are. But with that is great responsibility. And what are you doing with that power?
Yeah,
How will you better the people and place around you?
right. How
But
will
yeah.
you be a benefit to humanity?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so after lunch, then what happens?
Yes. So after lunch, yeah, so it's an hour of free time and that they really connect and love that time. Um, and then they move into hands-on collaborative projects. And these are what I was sort of talking about, that 4 to 6 week learning theme. And this is really fun. So it is, again, the teacher isn't giving lessons or assignments or arbitrary worksheets that have to get turned in at a certain time. We do another Socratic discussion. We launch the idea, and then there's a challenge presented. And it's something they want to dive into. And they can do it at their level. And the guide isn't standing there saying, I think you could do better, or why don't you take that home and have your mom help you with that? It's not, it's all in that moment. And so they're working hard on these challenges that we offer. And sometimes it's collaborative. So, for instance, one of the quests, these are called quests, these 4 to 6 week learning themes. And one of the big ones we do every single year, many of them you only do once. But the one we do every single year is building a business. So it's called
Yes.
entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Yes,
So important.
it is. It is. Everybody should have an opportunity to be an entrepreneur and can be.
Yeah.
So these are entrepreneurship quests, and each one has a little different flavor every year. But the one we did recently was how to build the best hot cocoa stand. And so they're talking about, so the challenge for the day might be, playing a game that emulates or simulates, real world markets, right? And so their goal is to play the game, teach the game to someone, and then win the game. Or how many dollars did you make in this game? Um, you know, you and your group maybe you get extra marshmallows for your own hot cocoa stand if you're the winners of that game or something. But the goal of that hot cocoa stand one was to have, I don't know if you've had this, but when the sky's the limit, it's really hard. They're like, oh, do anything, just be creative. It's
Right.
like,
Right.
I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So often there are some, boundaries. Again, like
Yeah.
I said, the guide is a game maker. So that's our goal, right? A game isn't fun if there actually aren't rules. It's
Right.
just
Right.
imagination at that point.
Yeah.
So there are some boundaries that we set. We say, okay, the challenge is
Awesome.
it will be a hot cocoa stand. How are you going to set yourself apart from your neighbor down the street who also has a
Yes.
hot cocoa stand? What are you going to do differently? How are you going to market this? Where will you cut costs and where will you splurge a little bit? So they're learning profit loss, they're learning marketing, they're learning, logos, networking, collaboration. That's a huge one, right? Because you and your friend are partners, they have a different idea than you do.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and that's hard. So, so the hot cocoa stands were really fun because they had a great time. And then during these quests in the afternoons, it's a choice. You can participate, but you don't have to. Or, we're offering tools, we're offering in a fun way. How do you figure out profit and loss?
Yeah.
So we had last year, we had this group, 3 or 4, and they were just hands-on people. Like, we don't need that. What we need, is we're going to build this really cool booth and it's going to be really cool. They just wanted to get into the nitty gritty, which is so true for so many people, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't give me that. I just want to get to work. So they get to work, they do their thing. Comes time for the exhibition in front of the parents. They're selling hot cocoa. They realize at the very end, they're counting their money, they're subtracting how much they spent. And they say,
Uh-oh.
what? Well, this doesn't make sense. They were in debt.
I love it.
And it did
Such a
not
great
occur to them
lesson.
until later. And they were like, we sold the most hot cocoa. Like, but you sold it for a loss. Again, I'm not reflecting this to them. They were literally
Amazing.
seeing it as it stacks up.
Oh
And they're,
gosh.
which is real life. So we're encouraging them. And sure, at some point we could have said, you guys sit down and do this profit and
Yes.
loss statement because you are not making money, people.
Right.
And, there's opportunities presented, there's recipes offered, there's games to encourage this critical thinking. But at the end of the day, you get to choose to participate in those things or not. And there may or may not be, there will probably be consequences, very natural consequences. And
Yes,
look,
of
they
course.
are going to remember that because you know what happened? Then they didn't get to go out into the winter festival. We said, the people who make the most money at this parent exhibition on their hot cocoa stand, the two teams, they get to go out into the real world in front of businesses during a
Yes.
first Friday art walk kind of situation and
Yeah.
make real money. We will fund you
Yeah.
to go make real money. And so
Oh,
they didn't get to do that, which was a
it
bummer.
must have been so hard for the guides and the parents not to say a thing.
It's hard. And that is, as a guide,
Oh,
breathing
God.
is really important. And just, this is their journey.
This is lovely because
Mhm.
now what I'm hearing you say is this method of learning with Acton Academy also teaches parents to take a back seat because oftentimes we get so mired in our children's activities
And
and we get
success.
competitive and
Mhm.
we want them to be successful. So we will talk, talk, talk.
Push,
And
push.
they had to just be silent.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. Our parent community is so strong and brave. And we have lots of conversations together about, they'll say, you know, well, they get to watch that. And
Yeah.
they are working so hard as well. And they, of course, still get to have boundaries at home. It's not a free for all, there's responsibility. And they get to ask questions too, and parent. But we do find the parents who really embrace the idea that their children are capable and it's okay to make mistakes because
That's
that's what,
literally step one.
yes, we have found that those parents who are willing to embrace that, and really let it happen while asking, that doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you're hands off. It doesn't mean you're negligent.
Yeah.
You're not watching a train wreck happen. You're asking questions, you're supporting, um, and you're being their encourager.
Yeah. And
And
also like always deflecting. What do
yeah,
your teammates say?
yeah,
Ask your teammates.
yeah, yeah,
Don't ask me. I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Or, in my situation, this is something you can say as a parent, like, oh, that is so hard. I remember that. And you can be a storyteller because they learn so
Yeah.
much through storytelling.
Yeah.
Um, and they love it. They just soak that up. So that's an example of a quest and some, that's very vague, but some
Yeah.
ideas.
It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the quest afternoons.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the day, so quest, we close quest with another discussion,
Hmm.
oh, we talk about the challenge and who got, who made the most money in lemonade stand. So that's great. And how did you do that? What did you find worked? What was your strategy for that?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're figuring these things out, whether they think of it as a strategy or not.
Yeah.
Um, and we're celebrating that. Then they move into studio maintenance. So they're in charge of their studio. They make the rules, they do the cleaning. And so they spend 10, 15 minutes. And I will tell you, it is so fun to see them. They've worked hard all day. They come together, they get to play their own music, they have their own playlist, everybody contributes to it. They are dancing just as much as they're cleaning. It's joyful generally. Then there's certainly the times where, you guys made such a mess today. Okay, put it on town hall. We still got to get it cleaned up. you know?
Yeah.
And they will rearrange how they do studio maintenance somewhat frequently because just like in a home,
Yeah.
sometimes things stop working and
Yeah.
that's okay. You got to
Yeah.
solve the problem. You resolve that. And then we come together again for a final circle of the day. And it's a celebration of what happened, goals that were met. Um, they also do character call outs. This is a really important piece of the day. They'll say, hey, you know what? I saw so and so, slay the monster of distraction today, and they push through and finish their math goal despite being distracted, or they solve their problem.
Yeah.
And everyone says, we call that focus. So cool.
That is so
So they
cool.
celebrate one another and they're calling each other out. Yeah, positive character call outs. And then we journey on. That's what we call it because they're heroes on this journey. And
Yeah.
every day is a step on their journey. And then they come back together the next morning, ready to go. We hear from parents all the time. They're like, we look, here's the thing. We want to take a Friday off here and there. And we encourage that as a school. We say family time is critical if
Yes.
you need that or you want that. But the parent will say, but they don't want to because it's Quest that day and they don't want to let their team down.
All
Or they're
right.
really excited to, explore this. So we hear that,
Oh.
we often hear that the kids, even when they're sick, still want to come in. they're like, I'm fine, I'm fine. Oh, which I cannot tell you how many times I faked sick to get out of school as a kid.
Oh my
Like
gosh, how many kids did that?
I hated school. It was
Yeah.
so lame.
Yeah.
So we generally do not see that problem.
That's so refreshing. Everything that you've laid out sounds so wonderful, and I knew it would be. I mean, I myself had looked at Acton Academy too. I loved it, before I decided I actually didn't really want institutionalized learning, but this is super fun and people love it, and there's so many things going on with it. So tell me, what is it like starting up an Acton Academy?
Yeah, great question. Um, Well, I mean, it's thrilling because, like you said in the bio, thank you for highlighting that. We were imagining, we had been homeschooling after COVID for a couple years, and we kept imagining and reimagining and saying, okay, well, what would the perfect environment be for our kids or any kid, right?
Any kid.
What will help them be curious, develop their passions, get into the real world, um, you know, goal set, be strong characters. Um, and so we were trying all kinds of things. We tried more the traditional kind of school from home, I would call it. And then we went on the road for a year. We traveled the United States together as a family.
So
So we
fun.
did road schooling, which was
Yeah.
really an important piece of our journey. And then we did more of an unschooling, like, okay, guys, what are your passions? What do you want to pursue? What does that look like?
Yeah.
But at the end of all of that, and we were doing this with friends too, which is
Yeah.
so important. The
So
community,
key.
so critical. And
Yes,
so
so
we had
critical.
friends, but even then it was just pursuing a passion on your own is lonely and it's hard. And you don't get that like cross pollination maybe of ideas you
Yeah.
get with
Yeah.
people. So, our idea was, there would be collaboration. There would be other people. There's a community of like-minded people doing this together.
Yes.
And then we came across a podcast. Thank
Yes.
goodness for podcasts,
Yes.
about from the founder of Acton Academy. And it was that light bulb moment. It was that you're a little shaky inside, you're a little sweaty, and this is
Can
it.
we do this?
This is the thing. This checks all the boxes of the things you're
Yes.
talking about. But we were, a little reluctant to do because it's your kids' lives, guys. Like, this is real. This is a big deal. Like, you don't want to mess something up and miss something and something happens. So Acton Academy had at least a 10-year track record at that point.
Yeah.
The kids coming out of there are building their own business. They could get
Yeah.
into Ivy League. They can go to military.
Yeah.
They can do anything they
Anything.
want and
They
more
can do
because
anything.
they've learned how to learn. And they've
Yeah.
learned that learning is not boring.
And
And
they've learned how to be good humans.
yes, they
I mean,
can
they're, and I'm not going to say they
function.
learn how to be good humans. They continue to be the good humans that they are.
Yeah, yeah. The people that they were meant to be. They're
Yeah.
following their calling
Yeah.
and they have found their calling. What a gift
Yeah.
that these learners have started a business at 5, 6, 7 every single year. They do something
Yes.
different. So they know I don't want a burrito stand that, I want
Yeah.
to pursue my love of ever.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Acton Academy was sort of this proven system at that point. It was about 10 years old. It was this
Yeah.
network. And so we applied, were, went through several different application processes with this. And really, in that time, really the goal is that you are searching yourself and you are
Yes.
searching your
Exactly.
community and saying, okay, is this something we want to do? Is this feasible? Do we have the longevity? Do we have the passion? Is this something we'd rather have somebody else do and we join
Yeah.
as parents of learners versus like owning it? That's okay too. And then we started. So within learning, we heard about it in March and we had applied and were accepted by June. So it was like,
Okay.
and then we were opening a school in September. So
Wow.
it was sort of like, woo, like white knuckle, drinking from the fire hose, and we were doing it. So it felt good. It felt
Yeah.
like the right thing.
Yeah.
But as you know, on any hero's journey, there's obstacles and
Of
you
course.
enter the cave, right? Like
Yeah.
in August, we're looking at each other like, are we actually going to do this? Are we
How many
doing
kids do
this?
we have? Like
Oh my
four?
goodness. Yes, it's so scary.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely worth it at the end of the day. 100% worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a journey. But we learned so much through that. And we're still learning. Oh my goodness. And that's the neatest thing. These kids, um, I have 5, and 3 of them are in this program. We unfortunately found it a little late for our olders, which is okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and they will, all come home from a day at the studio and they'll come home from their day at the studio and, we'll be talking about our days and they will sometimes, this is hilarious. I'll say, oh, it wasn't my most productive day because blah, or I'm encountering this problem. And they drank the Kool-Aid, okay? So they'll say like, Mom, it really sounds like you're suffering from victimhood here.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
they hold the mirror up to me. And in that moment, as a parent, I have to tell you, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Shut up.
It says, you're right. And also, what a blessing that
Yes.
my kids can hold me accountable.
Yeah.
And oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. So
So
it's
cool.
a journey and it's amazing. But ultimately they're on it with us too. And we're all working together. And that's the other thing with those stories, those hero stories. We talk about heroes from history, modern day heroes. And particularly in my group of youngers, I mean, they just eat up a story. And you know what they love the
Yes.
most? Mistake stories, failure stories. That is
Right.
their
Right.
absolute favorite. And so I dredge up these. I don't have the best memory of my childhood, as in it was a wonderful childhood, but I don't have a great memory process.
Yeah.
But there
Yeah.
are things that stood out to me, and it's often those mistakes and the things you learned a tough lesson from. And so
Yeah.
throughout the year, I share those mistake stories of mine, and they just eat it up. They
They love
love it.
it. It's so
And that
funny.
makes a human, it makes a parent or an adult a human.
Yeah.
And then it also puts their own mistakes, it's not something to be, like you said, we don't have to be shameful, but we
No.
should learn from it because
Right.
there's so many important lessons in our failures. So we're
Yeah.
talking about failure, we're talking about not being afraid of it, but we are talking
Yeah.
about learning from it. It's kind
Yeah.
of
And also just assuming that the child will naturally learn. Because every time you fail, you do something, there's consequences. And so they always will learn.
Mhm. They are.
You
They
know?
are.
So
They're soaking it up. Yep.
what I love about this journey of Acton Academy and is that counter to what conventional society perceives is that from the beginning, Acton Academy, the adults in the room assume and perceive the child as a genius and that they are on the journey of becoming. Whereas conventional society basically tells us that your child will amount to nothing. If you
Mm,
don't put them in school, if they don't get straight A's, if they don't go to college, they will amount to nothing. We have
mm,
to teach them everything that they learn, and that is simply not true.
mm.
And this is why Acton academies are growing so fast. Isn't there like, I don't know, 800 or something in the US
Oh,
already? They're
I don't know. When we
global.
started, I mean, it's global.
It's global.
It is global. And I thought we were around like 4 to 500, but it could have exploded since we
I
started.
think
I
I
don't
saw
know.
that it's at least 800.
Wow. That's
I
amazing.
think I could be wrong, but regardless, now that we've said it's 800, it is. We're
It should be if it's
manifesting,
not.
because there's something critically wrong when we continue to message to our children that they are not enough.
Or
And
they
that is
have
what's
to
coming
have,
out of conventional schools. You're not
or
enough.
you're right. You're right.
Even
Or
the straight A students, you are
yeah,
not enough.
yeah, you have to keep showing us by doing arbitrary, meaningless tests, projects. I mean, yeah. Yeah, they are capable and you're right. I think in traditional school often I don't know about you, but I came out having to unlearn a lot of things about what I thought I knew about myself and the world. And there's some school trauma there of
It's
not
not
feeling
just even,
like you're enough or that you have to have an expert all the time. Like
yes.
you can't do
We
it by
have to
just trying.
defer.
Don't
We
do
always
that.
have to
Yes,
defer to the other
yes,
person. We don't
yes,
know.
yes. There's an expert bias. And
Yes.
yeah, there's plenty of things that um, I'm not going to be an expert on, and that's okay. I can still dive in and try it. And I will still learn something from that at a certain level, and
Yeah.
that's good, right? It rounds me out as
Yes.
a human.
Yes. Yes. There are people who have a little bit more knowledge than us, but that doesn't make them an expert.
Mm,
Everybody is only an expert in their own experience.
mm,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, because Acton Academy is so extraordinary and allows for a lot of freedom, can you share just some of the things that you see coming out of your students? I mean, one of the stories that I would love for you to tell is the one that you told me about the child, because we were talking about how when children come out of conventional school and they drop into something like Acton Academy and they're given freedom, they literally don't know what to do with it oftentimes. So they do need time to decompress. So
Mhm.
essentially, for every year that they've been in a conventional classroom,
Mm,
you
mhm,
would want to give them at least a month for every year to decompress. And while you're doing that, we also encourage parents to do the decompression as well and deprogramming. So there was one story that you told of a child who came in and literally like would not participate in anything. And I think he did that for a month. And then please tell that
mhm,
story.
mhm, mhm. I mean, that's kind of a story across borders, as like you said, if they're coming in from a traditional school. And so we see that where um, we call it freedom shock. And so they come in and they're like, wait a second, you're telling me the adult in this room is not going to force me to sit down and do my work or, you know, time my potty breaks or anything like that. It's like, and the other learners who've been there are like, no, no, just do you, like, we have rules, we made them and they're important. But within that, yeah, you can do what you want. So they do have the freedom to some degree to choose nothing. So you can sit and stare at a wall. Now, at a certain point, this is telling us, you know, that we might need to help you challenge yourself. And that doesn't mean we're stepping in and saying, do the thing, do the worksheet. It's challenging you with a big fun goal or a game or, um, but yeah, they get to sit and do nothing if that is what they need or don't know what to do. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes like I get, I'm not sure what to do. So I kind of space off. Like
Yeah.
that's a thing. And it's actually, they're finding it's actually good for you to space off. Like it's more important for you
Oh,
to stare at
yes.
a wall than stare at a screen or, something else, some filler, right? Because your mind is doing all kinds of really important processing in that time. So we allow that to happen. And so there was a learner who came in and just thought Socratic discussions were ridiculous. Why would he do that if he didn't have to? He was like, wait a second, I don't have to join this circle of people talking. Okay, I'm out. So he'd go sit off in the corner. There are certain rules. You can't be a distraction, of course. So he's sitting off in the corner. And then one day, it was sometimes the Socratic discussions are to an adult much more on the surface, perhaps a bigger topic or you
Mhm.
know a weightier subject. But we had this breakthrough in our first year because we're making these ideas, these launches, they're called these discussion topics. We had this breakthrough. It was like, we're in October and after we've started in September and it's been this sprint and we're going and going and going. And every day it's like, oh my gosh, I have to come up with a new discussion topic. What is it going to be today? And there was a day where we just didn't do a great job pre-planning. And so you come in, you're in front of 20 kids, you're starting the discussion, you're like, okay, here it is. Please tell us, who says or which holiday is more important or more fun, Halloween or Christmas? This does not, right?
Love
Doesn't
it.
actually
Love
matter.
it.
Doesn't. We had the highest engagement at any other discussion at that on that day.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it mattered. It was fun. It was important. It was energetic. They're jumping up. They're like, no, it's blah, blah for this reason. And that was the day. That was the day this learner who normally just too cool for the discussion, sitting in a corner, kind of perks up like, wait a second, and like kind of creeps over and sits at the back of the circle. And that was the day that that
Oh,
person joined the circle. Now, after that, yeah, it's not every discussion is a home run about Halloween and Christmas,
right.
right? But they're engaging and they're learning, okay, there's a reason we're here. And sometimes it's fun and silly.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes it's deeper. It's like
Yeah.
talking about King George and the colonists making a choice, this important, crazy decision to break away from their fatherland, their
Yeah.
motherland,
Yeah.
of England. And it's weighty and it's intense, and there's lots of factors to think about, and there's emotion there. And then sometimes
Yeah.
it's about Halloween and Christmas,
Right. Right.
it
Oh, I
goes there.
love
So,
that.
and then we've had amazing things. So we had this other one. This is one of my favorites. We had this learner in our first year who was, I want to say, 10-ish. And he only read Dogman, which is a graphic
Okay.
novel
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
We believe and we say, um, read what you love until you love to read. Because reading is just the
Yes.
biggest cornerstone at Acton because it opens up the world.
Yeah.
And it is so critical that they're not being shoved scarlet letter at
Yeah.
age 10 and then being forced to discuss every single
Yeah.
sentence and
Yeah.
dissect it and talk about
Ooh.
the diagramming and ugh, no, that brings no joy to anybody.
No.
Right? And if
Yeah.
anything, they'll think they hate reading after that.
Yeah.
So we are not doing that. We have a whole library. It's filled with all kinds of things from Dogman and magazines to very important weighty classics.
Yeah.
And everything in between, nonfiction and everything. So this boy would read Dogman every day.
Mhm.
And it was, I mean, there was only at this point like 6 to 8 of them in the series. I think there's probably like a lot more now.
Okay.
And it was the same ones even. I mean, the first
Yep.
2 or 3. And we knew he could actually read, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't a level issue. And we knew he could
Right.
read much higher level than Dogman. But that was where his comfort level was.
Yeah.
But through the course of the year, he's allowed to do this, but there's these different challenges. It's like read a book that a friend has recommended. Um, Read a book outside of a genre you normally read. These are
Hmm.
challenges. Again,
Yeah.
they get to opt
Just an
in.
offering.
An option, just an idea, just kind of
Yeah.
fun. It's a little game we're doing. And find after, 8 months of Dog Man and only Dog Man, one day he picks up a book recommended by a friend because that was one of the challenges. He picks it up. It's, I don't know, 400 pages. It's some big Brandon Sanderson series. He does not put the series down. Again, I mean, this person reads
What?
now. This is a reader. This is the kind of person who you have to like talk about reading being the reward versus like,
Yeah.
because they love to read so much now and they can read anything and now will read anything. And they're now the cheerleader for the
Yeah.
younger readers. And they're
Yeah.
saying, oh, Dogman, yeah, I used to read that. You know what you should really try? And they're encouraging the youngers to challenge themselves into new
Yes.
genres. So it's, the growth
Ah,
that they can and will achieve is incredible. And they can do it. And, I think at some point, obviously, probably at some point they were getting, bored with Dogman, but just didn't know where to go next. But this
yeah.
peer is coming alongside in the name of a game, right? It's a
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not a teacher or a parent saying, like,
Right.
you've got to do this because it's
Yeah.
important for your permanent record. Like,
Yeah. In order for you to grow, in order for you to become
yes,
anything, you have to do what I
yes,
say.
yes, yeah.
What
So
I
there was
love
this
about
quote.
this story is that every child has a gift to give. And
Mhm.
because you allowed him the space to do what felt comfortable for him, he then discovered his gift and is now passing it on to the younger kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's sharing, it's his superpower. He's
Yeah.
sharing it for good. You're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
again, here it is. You have assumed, the adults in the room have assumed that this kid knows what he's doing.
Mhm.
He's just operating on his own timeline, his
Yes.
own developmental timeline.
Yes. Yes.
This is called respect.
There is so much respect. And it is, like you said, for adults to honor that and actually give true respect. It means not nagging. Um, and there's no sarcasm, not stepping in the second there's a problem. Or, they bring up these ideas at town hall to a problem they're having in their studio. And it's not often the way an adult would solve that problem.
Of
It is
course.
very different. And to us, we've thought through it. We've tried a million different things already. So we're like, oh, here's how you do it. Nope. They get to try
No.
what they come up with, and then they'll regroup. They'll come back a week later. Oh, that didn't really work. There was too many moving parts to that. It's too hard to, hold each other accountable to that. Let's try something else. But then they're developing that background knowledge and respect
Yeah.
and the muscle.
Experimentation.
Yeah,
Experimentation.
yeah. How to even come up with ideas, right? Because I think that's
Yeah.
something, unfortunately, that is can really be uh,
Driven out of us.
rubbed out in traditional
Hmm.
school is finding a
Yeah.
solution. Because if there's an adult in the room who's always in charge, you just give the problem to them. Just
You
everything
just
goes.
give them the solution, and
Mhm.
that's the solution. Don't even try and come up with something different. I don't care if it doesn't feel comfortable to you.
This is how we have to do it. It is what it is. So, yes, and I think that is the hardest thing. And I think maybe that's one of the biggest lessons learned as parents and guides and
Yeah.
founders of Acton
Yeah.
is
It's
they are capable,
yeah.
and we have different tools for helping them find that within themselves if they're struggling, because that's the hardest thing is watching them struggle. um we early in our school, um passwords, oh my goodness, passwords are so hard. And they use their laptops, and now it is very specific when and how they can use them,
Mhm.
but they are an important tool in the studio, and you have to have a password for a lot of things, as you know, as
Yeah.
adults. Even it's hard for us. We have to have a password to protect our passwords, right? And these learners would, and they're newer to computers and keyboards, and so they're typing in the password, but it has a capital and they don't see that. And even then the guides are saying, what are your tools? How can you solve this problem?
Oh my
When we
gosh.
know all they need is a shift and then the capital or whatever. And again, that's not because we don't care. It's not because we're negligent. It's
No.
because we care. And because
Exactly.
you shouldn't have to look to the adult to figure out
Right.
how to do that every single time, right?
Right.
Because if you learn it on your own, you're going to hold it
Yeah.
so much longer and
So
stronger
much better.
than somebody just solving it for you. Right. So there were all kinds of password struggles. There still sometimes are. But now those ones who were here the first year, they're the ones coming up. Oh, are you on caps lock? Because that's a problem.
Right.
Have you tried shift?
Yeah.
Have you eyeballed it? They've learned all these little tactics, and strategies, and they can then pass their knowledge on to the younger generation.
Yeah.
And then they can also say, I've been there. That is
Yeah. And
yeah. So,
another thing that I want to mention about the way that you guys engage with the kids and the Socratic method and all of those things, the conversation that happens in collaboration between the kids is that what we're doing is we're allowing every child's team that's behind them, their spiritual team, to come online. Because what happens in conventional schools is that, or just conventional living, a lot of times because the adults in the room feel like they know everything, and we've been raised in an environment where we're not so much connected to our teams, our guides. And so when we step back and we allow the children to come together to solve their own problems, this is where the teams come together as well. And this is where like real solutions happen.
yeah, there's, again, not to bash exactly on the traditional school system, because there
Oh,
are
I'll do that all day
people
long.
that care, and they are working so hard in there. And I believe that. But when you walk through those doors, you are often asked to shed the team, like you called it, and the school system wants to be that team. And they have set themselves up to be the parent, the primary influencer, to the point where you don't even really question it.
Right.
And so you're right. You're right. It's holistic. Acton is,
Mhm.
um, and it's yeah, really important because who knows you better than your own family, mentor? Um,
Yourself.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
yourself the best, and
yeah.
it feels so good to be surrounded by people who see you.
hmm hmm Yeah, yeah. And I think that's really hard in those big systems, those big traditional school systems.
Yeah.
As like I said, as much as the people themselves, perhaps in there,
Yeah.
are working hard
Mhm.
and they are trying their best, but there is only so much you can do in
Their
that
hands are tied.
broken system. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's for all broken systems, guys. Medical, birthing, educational,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
all the institutions. Um, gosh, Brittany, thank you so much for, you and Matt being brave enough to start and having the commitment and the grit to start an Acton Academy and keep it going. I mean, the fact that you have 20 students, 20 families and more,
Mhm.
you just keep growing
Yeah.
is phenomenal. And you're offering your community such a gift.
Our community is a gift to us. That is why we're still here, honestly. And they are so brave to be doing on this journey with us. And that I value, and I'm so inspired by people like you, Belinda, and the families in our community who are brave enough to look at the mainstream and say, that's not the choice we're making. And that is so hard to do, to come out of the stream and think for yourself. And that's what we're doing. And we're trying to help people raise young people who are doing that as well. But thank you so much for you and what you're doing and helping people feel strong enough and informed enough and thinking critically through all these things so that there are more people thinking about this and raising strong humans.
Yes, and I want to add that there must be an Acton in every state in the US right now. There must be, and if there isn't, maybe if you're in a state that doesn't have one, you will feel called to start one, and they support you. It's supportive. So it's not like you're starting from scratch. You get support. It's a journey like Brittany shared. It's a journey of building community, and you have to build that grit, because it takes a lot of deprogramming to show up as the adults who respect children. Our society is not raised in that way. Literally, children and seniors are invisible.
Yeah.
And so let's do the work, guys. Find your acting academies. Like, even if you don't put your kid in one, donate to one. See how you can insert yourself as an adult who can show up in whatever way, shape, or form that you can. Just do it.
Mm.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Brittany, before we end our time together?
Oh, thank you so much, Belinda. Yeah, feel free to share our info. And yes, even if you're not doing Acton, keep on thinking outside the box because this is how change happens. And I think everyone's better for it.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll
Take
talk to
care.
you soon.
Yes.